Good evening and welcome to the COVID-19 update on Channels Television. I'm Millicent Walker. First, the highlights. Muslim faithful in Nigeria join low-key celebrations of Eid al-Kabir across the world for the second year in a row amidst coronavirus restrictions. President Muhammadu Buhari reflects on the current challenges facing the country, says coronavirus pandemic has taken a heavy toll on economies of all countries, including Nigeria. And capital of the UAE, Abu Dhabi, observes curfew as part of a sterilization program for fighting COVID-19. Today is Eid al-Kabir, also referred to as Festival of Sacrifice. It's the most important feast in the Muslim calendar because it is an occasion to celebrate the willingness of Prophet Ibrahim to sacrifice his son Ishmael in submission to Allah's command. On the occasion of Eid al-Kabir festival, devotees of Allah offer prayers at mosques. After prayers and sermons, people embrace and exchange greetings with one another, give gifts and also visit one another. But for a second year in a row, it is still continued coronavirus restrictions across the world, and the Nigeria Center for Disease Control is reminding Nigerians that despite significant efforts, there is still ongoing transmission of the SARS-CoV-2 that causes COVID-19.
The Center for Disease Control is issuing a public health advisory to members of the public to mark Eid al-Kabir. The directives is on the high risk of spread of COVID-19 in Nigeria and the need for collective responsibility to prevent a surge in cases. The agency is urging Nigerians to be aware of the high risk of spread of COVID-19 and adhere to preventive measures, including the decentralization of Eid prayers to neighborhood Friday prayer mosques, observation of limitations on all indoor gatherings, limiting all non-essential domestic and international travels, among others. The latest figures coming from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control are 146 new infections from 5 states, and the FCT recorded in the last 24 hours. Lagos had the highest numbers with 134 cases. 3 cases were reported from Ondo, while 2 cases were reported from Cross River, Kwara, and the FCT. Ogun, Oyo, and Rivers reported 1 case each. The latest update also includes 0 cases reported from Ekiti, Kano, Nasarawa, Plateau, and Sokoto states. Nigeria now has a total of 169,678 confirmed cases. 11 people have been discharged in the last 24 hours, raising the total number of recoveries to 164,710. 1 person was reported to have died from COVID-19 complications, increasing the fatality toll to 2,128. Presently, there are 2,830 active cases in the country, while over 2.4 million samples have been tested so far. In Africa, there are over 6.2 million confirmed cases and more than 158,000 deaths on the continent. Globally, more than 190 million COVID-19 cases have been confirmed, while deaths have surpassed 4 million.
And in line with this year's Eid al-Kabir festival, President Muhammadu Buhari joined other Muslim faithful in Daura, his hometown in Katsina State, to celebrate the 2021 Eid al-Kabir. Earlier in a statement to Muslims on the occasion of the Eid al-Kabir, the president reflected on the current challenges facing the country, noting that COVID-19 pandemic has taken a heavy toll on the economies of all countries, including Nigeria, also on the fact that floods have caused large-scale destruction to agricultural farmlands. The president reiterates the determination of his administration to create a just, harmonious and prosperous country in which the safety of life and property is assured. And while the rains poured in Lagos, the Speaker of the House of Representatives and the Deputy Governor of Lagos State felicitated with Muslim faithful on the occasion of the Eid celebrations, calling also for adherence to the COVID-19 protocols.
Muslim faithful make their way to the Dodon Barracks prayer ground at Obalende, Ikoyi area of Lagos, observing COVID-19 protocols. Not minding the rainfall, they are determined to observe the Eid al-Kabir prayers despite the rain. The Deputy Governor of Lagos, Kadri Hamzat, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, among the dignitaries observing the prayers at an event. The Imam of Lagos Central Mosque re-echoes the essence of salvation.
It's very significant to each and every one of us as Muslims to fear Allah, to have the piety of Allah, to fulfill our promises, not only between us and our Maker alone. We make promises maybe where we are seeking for position of authorities and positions of authority and so on. So after getting those positions, are we anywhere to be found fulfilling our covenant with our people?
In the rain, prayers continued. Afterwards, a ram is sacrificed. The Deputy Governor gives his message at his residence, asking people to celebrate moderately.
Like we know, you don't have to do anything wrong in order to catch COVID-19. But the truth is, the number of admission in our isolation center is spiking up. So therefore, we all have to be very careful, celebrate moderately, and, within the family, not too much gatherings, comply with the COVID-19 protocols. And let's make sure that as much as we are happy, we don't want to end up unhappy by getting sick.
One of the lessons of Eid al-Kabir is a demonstration of God's infinite mercy on mankind, and the Muslim faithfuls have been asked to imbibe this spirit.
And in compliance with the federal government's placing of 6 states on red alert, including Kano, the Kano state government has suspended all Eid al-Kabir festivities. The State Commissioner for Information, Malam Mohammed Garba, who announced this, says the red alert allows authorities in the affected states to restrict celebrations and gatherings to a minimum. Also in Kaduna State, the government urged residents of the state to prioritize strict adherence to all the protocols in places of religious and social gatherings during and after the period of festivities. Meanwhile, in the FCT, the minister reminds celebrants that there is need for caution, and this is against the spread of the virus.
The COVID-19 team in the FCT sat last week and advised that it is better for us to hold the Eid in open grounds like this instead of in the mosques, because that way people are better protected, and that's why today you see us, we are here, and you can see the prayers have been very short, and the whole idea is that we better disperse quickly so that everybody can go home. And COVID-19 is still around, so we need to be very vigilant. We need to maintain social distancing as much as possible, and also wear our masks. And once the vaccines are being rolled out, the second phase, we should all try to be vaccinated.
And with the return of relative peace in the northeast sub-region after 12 years of Boko Haram conflict, Eid grounds in Yobe State have continued to record large turnout of worshippers. Our correspondent also reports that the observance of the safety protocols were low this year compared to 2020. Meanwhile, in Gombe State, the governor is also using this occasion to call on residents to obey the preventive measures.
Muslim faithful turn out in large numbers to mark the Eid al-Kabir celebration in Damaturu, the Yobe state capital. From Eid grounds, some residents move around the city to make last-minute purchases of food and rams. However, there is low compliance to COVID-19 safety protocols. The Islamic cleric explains the significance of the occasion and seeks for more sensitization on COVID-19.
This is I can say, an issue of mindset. More sensitization is required, and is based on what the medical practitioners are saying. Maybe people are saying the casualty is less in terms of the pandemic, and they have not seen death around them. That is even giving some people to even deny its existence, or to deny its own contagiosity, that is, it is contagious.
Some worshippers believe that residents should not let their guard down, especially during the festive period.
What I observed is face mask is now being neglected due to the fact that we experienced very few cases of COVID-19 here. And you know, our people are usually not hidden to instructions fully, unless if the thing that is that they are being prevented from affect them seriously.
You know, traditionally some perceive that this is something that is already over, but it is not yet over. It's still within the community, and people should take the responsibility of protecting themselves from the implications and the consequence of this virus.
In Gombe State, the governor felicitated with Muslim faithful while he cautions on the gains in the pandemic fight.
Nigeria is going through very hard times with a series of challenges, both social, economic, political, and even health-wise, with the challenge of COVID-19. So we need to be together, we need to support one another for us to go through this challenge.
The message is still the same: celebrating responsibly while observing the COVID-19 non-pharmaceutical interventions.
Well, for more on the celebrations under the pandemic, Dr. Ndidi Igwe, a public health physician, joins us right now via Zoom. Thank you for joining us on the program. First, it's a holiday for most people. How do you say keep away from festivities while there's still the threat of COVID-19?
Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. We can't help with not keeping the observations we need to keep, because we don't want to celebrate today and have issues tomorrow. So in as much as we may not be able to be free to have the fanfare we want to, what the government is saying in effect is that we should have our acts together. As we celebrate, we still remember that that gentleman called COVID-19 is still in the corner, looking to look for who to devour. So we observe our social distancing. In the mosque, we try to avoid the central mosque gatherings and have the prayers at the small mosque in the streets, where we used to have our Friday prayers, and if possible, even at that place, have it outside, outdoors, so that we'll not have a problem of a confined space where we're having issue with everybody sharing the same confined space and air. So we try to keep all those protocols, and above all, the organizers at the mosque to make sure that everybody coming into the mosque, into the arena, the temperature is screened, and there should be a provision for hand washing hand with soap and the running water. And where that one is not possible, only where it is not possible, we advise that they use hand sanitizer.
Dr. Igwe,
we rather want to celebrate today and celebrate tomorrow also.
Yes, and in terms of using a face mask, what does the rule say, especially when you're outdoors?
We can't lay down our guards, as I said. We must use our face mask, even when we're outdoors, because it's in the air. Even when we're outdoors, we must use our face mask, observe those protocols, and then leave at least do the ones within our reach. And like we advise, once the vaccine is available again, people who got vaccinated have a higher chance of protection. So even if they caught the infection, which is possible, they will have a mild infection, even if they got the infection. So we must use our mask, whether we're outdoor or we're indoors. We must use our face mask. We must keep our physical distancing, and we must wash our hands as often as possible, either with soap and running water, or use alcohol-based hand sanitizers.
All right. Dr. Ndidi Igwe there with the latest. Thank you so much. He's a public health physician. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we still have more stories of Eid al-Adha celebrations under the pandemic when we return. Stay with us. Welcome back. Muslim faithful celebrating Eid al-Adha in the UAE capital, that's Abu Dhabi, for the next few days are keeping indoors from midnight to avoid paying fines. Now that's because of a government-imposed curfew and a national sterilization program. Our correspondent Maiwa Deguke has more details.
UAE's capital, Abu Dhabi, on Monday began enforcing a curfew as part of its national sterilization program. Residents and citizens found moving between midnight and 5 a.m. without a permit will be fined. Although it is one of the most vaccinated countries in the world, with over 68% of its population vaccinated, the UAE records more than 1,000 infections weekly.
Being vaccinated doesn't stop you from being infected with it again. You still need to continue protecting yourself. You still need to comply with those protocols, which requires the continuous use of face mask anytime you're outside your house, and current washing of hands and the likes. So a lot of people abandon those protocols once they believe that they are fully vaccinated now, so they believe they can do whatever they like.
New requirements to enter Abu Dhabi from other Emirates have also been announced. Local authority says it is a proactive measure to prevent COVID-19 variants and to ensure continuous testing.
Anytime they get into Abu Dhabi, they are required, if they want to stay for up to 4 days, they were required to have another PCR test done. And if they still want to stay up to 8 days, they must have another PCR on the 8th day. So this is a laid down rules, and of which anyone that wants to stay here has to comply, or else will be fined.
35 countries are currently on Abu Dhabi's green list, including Canada, USA, Saudi Arabia, China, Israel, and France. Seychelles and Mauritius are the only African countries on the list. Meanwhile, Dubai's flag carrier Emirates Airline has extended its suspension of flights between Nigeria and the UAE until the 31st of July, a sign that the rift between both governments is yet to end, even as some states in Nigeria have been put on red alert. All affected bookings have also been cancelled, with business persons seeing no end in sight to the situation, even as the Expo 2020 Dubai, which organizers say will hold, draws closer. From Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, Maiwa Adegoke for Channels Television News.
And Salami Remileku, whom you just saw in Maiwa Adegoke's report, joins us right now, gives us further insight into the situation in Abu Dhabi. She is a COVID-19 response registered nurse in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much for having me here.
All right. I mean, the sterilization program started from Monday, and, you know, you're in a second day. How has that worked so far?
Well, the government of the United Arab Emirates announced the national sterilization program to commence on the 19th July 2021, which will be started from 12 midnight till 5 a.m. in the morning. And the reason behind this is just to have an environment that is safe for all residents of the United Arab Emirates. And even the police have announced the activation of the radars to monitor every movement, at least for everyone to be indoor during that period. That if any violators is found outside the premises of their houses, they definitely they can easily be captured and definitely they'll be fined. So the program have started yesterday on 19th July 2021, and to be extended throughout the period of this holiday, although the days to be lasted is still unknown. It will definitely be announced by the authority.
All right. For you, working as a COVID-19 response nurse, how has that been? Have you encountered anything like it before now, handling patients who have come down with the coronavirus?
Working as one has been extremely overwhelming and interesting at the same time, because when I found myself in the midst of the multidisciplinary team to see that, okay, we are part of the warriors at the battlefield to ensure that this pandemic is seen to the end. Let me put it that way. And with the availability of the resources provided by the government and the support from the team, it gives me this confidence and the joy to discharge my duty at every point in time. And concerning the vaccination program, the United Arab Emirates authorities, the government, they have done greatly well in making sure that the vaccine are made available to be administered to the residents of the United Emirates. As I speak to you, according to National Emergency Crisis and Disaster Management Authority, it was announced that about 60,444,844 vaccine has been administered to the residents of United Arab Emirates. About 68.4% of the population has been fully vaccinated as I speak to you, whereas about 77.7% have had their first dose administered to them. So with this, we can see that the environment, the community, and the country at large is safe now. And more people are still coming because they are personally convinced. They've seen the importance of this vaccine to be administered, and they've seen how important it is to them, and they also know that once you are fully vaccinated, even if you get contracted with this vaccine, the severity of the effect of
hospitalization
will be less compared to when you are not vaccinated.
All right, indeed, vaccination, one of the tools to bringing and fighting the pandemic. Thank you so much, Remileku Salami, COVID-19 response registered nurse in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Walker.
Right. And now, fully jabbed travelers returning from France to England and Wales are being asked to quarantine to stop the spread of cases of the Beta variant of coronavirus first identified in South Africa. The UK government says the precautionary measure is to protect the gains made in the UK's vaccination program. Here's more on the global update.
In other parts of Europe, France's health minister announced today that France recorded 18,000 new cases in the country in a day, saying they'd never seen this before. He told Parliament today that he'd spoken of the risk of reaching 15,000 to 20,000 cases per day at the end of the month of July, and yesterday there were 18,000 new infections in only 24 hours, meaning that the spread of the virus has increased by 150% over the week. According to the Prime Minister, 40 million people could have received their first jab at the end of July, but he says mobilization will go on so that the target can be reached at the end of the month. Taiwan has approved emergency use and production of Vaccine Biologics Corporation's COVID-19 vaccine candidate, a major steo in the island's plans to develop its own vaccine to protect against the coronavirus. The vaccine candidate has yet to finish clinical trials and no efficacy data is available. But Taiwan's health ministry says studies so far have shown that antibodies created by the shot have been no worse than those created by AstraZeneca's vaccine. 2 of Australia's 6 states have been put under lockdown today as COVID-19 Delta variant spreads, with Victoria extending its lockdown to 7 days and South Australia announcing a week-long lockdown, while Sydney was in a 5-week lockdown. Australia's most populous state, New South Wales, of which Sydney is the capital, is battling the largest outbreak with total cases exceeding 1,400. Finally, millions of Muslims in Indonesia today celebrated a subdued Eid al-Adha, one of the most important Islamic festivals, as the president pledged that tighter coronavirus restrictions will remain in place until infections dropped. Cases in Indonesia are currently among the highest in the world due to the rapid spread of the Delta variant, in spite of the imposition since early this month of the strictest mobility restrictions so far during the pandemic.
Happy holidays, and let's celebrate responsibly. Visit our website, it's channelstv.com for more updates, also a better understanding of the pandemic. You find breaking news and politics, business, sports, it's all at your fingertips. channelstv.com. Well, that's the program this evening. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Stay healthy.